Hey guys, I'm Chris.
Hey everybody, I'm Robert.
And we are those Film Flamers.
And it is May.
It's May.
Officially, it's gonna be May.
It's gonna be the lusty month of May.
Oh, the lusty month of May it is. And speaking of lust, we are here to shoot the flames.
That's right. And as people might know, it's the episode where we talk about all of your comments and questions, give you all the horror news and trailers, and some other things, like a hot take.
A hot take? Now a hot take?
Yes. People have been clamoring and chomping at the bits and champing at the Mondegreens to hear what the people in the podcastosphere, the podcasterati, if you will, have to say about Sinners.
Are we included in the podcasterati?
I don't know, but I know that people listen to us in addition to people like Dead Meat and some others, Horror Queers, other things. And they are wanting to know what we thought of the movie Sinners because it was not in any kind of film festival that we saw recently.
That's correct.
We saw it in the theatre. And
correct.
Lots of folks, like I said, are clamoring, and including our very own patrons, Nikki, Gia, and Nico, have all asked for us to give them our hot take. And our hot take is, go see it. Anyway. No, I mean, we're close to one of the 8 places worldwide that it gets to be shown in the actual like horizontal reels of the IMAX.
Right.
The way that he intended it to be seen and shot it to be seen. And it's sold out. Like, we can't even get in to see that. But we got to see it on a normal screen.
Yes, we did. We saw it on the normal screen. I'm super glad that we did, but Chris is right. I want to watch it again, and I want to see it in that version. Patron Alex went to try to see it via IMAX this weekend, and he also ran into a sold out situation. So, but yeah, we did see it opening weekend at the Alamo Draft House, and it was a very enjoyable film.
Spectacular. And we really want to do a deep dive of this.
Oh, we have to.
I am just going to explode, right? I feel like there's a lot to say about culture,
yes,
appropriation, and assimilation through the lens of vampirism. And there's multiple angles and multiple takes on that, not just the obvious ones. We're talking about, Black culture and Black music culture, and how that has been assimilated and as appropriated. And going back further and or laterally maybe even with the Irish culture, which is, part of this movie. And just to represent a multitude of different things, right? Those are just 2 examples that have to be part of the plot. Interesting time in America, for sure. God, there's just so many things to talk about. Like, I don't want to go too far into it, but like, it's more than just like vampirism as a metaphor for appropriation and assimilation of culture, because there's multiple angles on it and there's multiple moral takes on it. Not necessarily bad and not necessarily good, although both are present. Things can be more complex than that, right? So the vampirism of it all, obviously bad. But we have vampires at the end that aren't necessarily bad. And then we also have like Smoke and Stack, who are the 2 twins in this movie, played by Michael B. Jordan, who also kind of came from a situation of opportunism where they went up to Boston and kind of worked for the mob, essentially, right? Al Capone kind of appropriated that situation and came back and benefited from it. So a lot of different things to take away from this, how it's like almost like a necessary evil that you could be empowered by or raped from. Right. And it just has a lot to talk about. And this is why the horror genre is the best genre, because you can talk about all of these things so effortlessly compared to just having people sit around and talk about the plot, or sit around and talk about these issues, making them literal issues. It's very preachy and, educational versus like the way that genre can do it, the way Battlestar Galactica dealt with like suicide bombers and terrorism and things like that, and post 9/11ism. This is able to talk about culture and culture appropriation and cultural assimilation and other things as well. And so it's just so good. And there's so many layers, and I have to see this movie probably a million more times.
I certainly do, because I think that you are correct. I think that this movie has a lot to say about like culture in general, and then like music in general, and how it affects people of every walk of life throughout time. And I think that like there's like some really significant moments. This is essentially a horror musical, and I think that it's saying a lot of things about who creates music and the power of it and its lasting effects. And I think that's just as much as an important message as anything else in this film. And Chris is correct. You know, we both walked out of this movie and we're riding back home, and Chris just said out loud, like, this is why horror is important. And I was just like, yes, like I was thinking the same thing, like leaving the theater, that if you're going to tell a story like this, it's so easy to do it through the allegory of genre filmmaking, as opposed to an in your face, like just a dramatic piece.
Well, you can articulate emotion and feel like really, really specific and hard to explain emotions and concepts through genre that you just cannot do in a drama.
And I mean, there's a complete sense of like magical realism going on in here, and like nothing seems out of place or wrong. It all sort of like fits together and works in ways that really, really good horror movies can do. And I think this is a really important film, and I think that a lot of people need to see it, and a lot of people are. Like, this movie has sort of just like taken on the world by storm right now.
Yeah, there was something about it was so expensive to make, right? And there was like such an interesting kind of deal with how Ryan Coogler made this, right? You know, kind of making a lot of money from it, owning the rights to it apart from the studio system for the next like 30 years or something. Or no, like where they come back to him, I think, in 25 years.
The rights will revert back to him in 25 years.
Yeah. So that's like unheard of, right?
Yeah.
Everything goes into the archive, generally speaking. But people were like, I think that there was some talk of like, oh, this movie's already flopped because of how much money it's made or whatever. And it was just like such a huge deal. Like, even opening weekend, you know, it did very well. And so a lot of people kind of pounced on whoever journalists were trying to like create some sort of bottom feeder parasitical drama about it. Meanwhile, the movie has performed
very much,
right? There was no like call to go and see this movie. This is all people word of mouthing all over the place.
And that's it.
It is so much the word of mouth on this movie is so much bigger than any kind of marketing push, as far as I'm aware of, but I don't see really TV commercials and such, and I don't listen to the radio.
And people that I know that do not like horror movies either want to see or have already seen this movie. Like people that I work with or people that I know, and they're like, oh yeah, I saw it. And I'm like, oh, you didn't even like scary movies. And that's the thing, is this movie has really, really broad appeal. And like there's every once in a while, every once in a generation, there is a kind of horror movie that kind of appeals to the masses in general.
Or brings people together. And this one really does.
I mean, Sinners brings all the boys to the yard. And
literally.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, people are just flocking to see this movie more than once. And I think that's a true testament to Ryan Coogler and his filmmaking.
I haven't seen any of the Creed movies.
The Creed movies are great.
I've not seen them. And I have not seen Fruitvale Station. But I've heard so many good things.
I haven't seen Black Panther.
You haven't seen Black Panther or Wakanda. Both of them are great. The second one's not as good as the first one, in my opinion, but like everyone talks about Angela Bassett's performance. Yeah. But it's really like Shuri's performance that's amazing in that. Like all the heavy lifting, and no one talks about it. Anyway.
And the only reason I haven't seen those is like because of like Marvel fatigue. And but now, and I don't know why, because I love all his other films, but now I'm like, I've got to go watch those movies.
And I feel like you've liked every Marvel movie you like, but it's like, that's the only thing that we know a word for. It's just we're tired of that universe and we want to break it, you know? Yeah. They're doing that themselves because they suck.
Yeah. Lately. The thing is like this creates a universe on its own. And at first, like everyone's question to me when we're talking about Sinners is like, do you think this, like the end credit scene opens up for another story? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know that I want it to be told. But the more that I think about it, I do want it to be told.
It could. Like he could really do it because it's like in the era of like do the right thing. Yep. Very, very specifically, like with the way they were addressing it. Anyway, we don't want to give spoilers. Yeah. But this movie was made for a huge amount for a horror movie, 90 to 100 million. Basically, after everything Ryan Coogler did in the studio system, he was just like cashing in, right? And doing what he wanted, I guess. Well, this movie has been out for 2 weeks and it's made 175 million. So it hasn't quite, I'm assuming with marketing, it's breaking even.
Yeah, probably.
And in the next couple of weeks, it's going to just go even more gangbusters. This might be $1 billion horror movie. I'm not sure. Might end up with like 800 million. I don't know. It's going to be really, really interesting to see. Also, like, there was no IMAX that I could buy for us the way that he wanted it to be seen, our specific IMAX.
Yeah.
And everything was being taken over by the next Marvel movie and some other things that are coming out. So it's gonna be interesting to see if all these like new times, come up because of its legs. I really hope so. I hope they give it a chance because I really want to see that again. And I want to see it the way it was intended to be seen. There's also a technical way to talk about this movie because it was made on like the spaghetti string, like width, like almost 3-to-1 aspect ratio, like old spaghetti Western. Right. And then the way it was shot and intended on IMAX is like almost a goddamn square. So I'm like, how can you intend both fucking things? I don't understand because you could do full frame. I don't get it. I need to to study what his intention was there.
Well, and I feel like you watching the IMAX version, like, I think you want to see that version for the technical aspects of it and less like, I think you got the story. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, I was just thinking like from a technical standpoint, why did he choose and why is there two different intentional versions of this movie? One where the aspect ratio is super narrow, and one that is just like huge, right? And I think I'm guessing is because if you can't see it on IMAX, the only way to achieve the feeling of epic is to make it super wide.
Right.
Like Ben-Hur or Lawrence of Arabia, right? You don't get full frame that way. The movie looks smaller that way. So the only way outside of an IMAX, like the proper, not the FOMAX, but like the actual IMAX, is to actually shoot it on that really, really wide aspect ratio with the gigantic black bars.
I can guarantee you that even though there are movies coming out in IMAX, like, I mean, I think they release this movie smartly before like some of these big like tentpole movies or whatever. But before this leaves the theater for good, they will find a way to do a re-release on IMAX. But guys, fear not. Like, here's just a little sample of a hot take. And I'm sure that we'll be talking about this movie again when we get to our end of year episode. And like, it will not be too long before we have chosen to deep dive into this film because there's so much more to talk about than what we just did.
Yeah, it kind of instantly trumped, I think, both of our lists. I think it's number one now on both of our lists. After everything we saw at Overlook, which was an excellent year at Overlook, it's just turning out to be such a great year so far for horror.
And as we get to the trailers at the end of this episode, there's lots to look forward to. Oh, yeah.
We got a review.
It's been a minute.
It has. Fenway4444 says, 5 nostalgia boners, a well-researched, at times hilarious podcast. 2 friends cover horror films and a thoughtful and well-produced show.
At times.
That's our takeaway. Way to grab the insult out of jaws of a compliment.
It's just like, I guess we're not always hilarious.
No, we're not. When I'm talking about aspect ratios, I'm particularly unfunny.
Someone's laughing at it.
Fuck you.
Not me. Thank you for the review, Fenway4444. Like we said, it's been a minute and we like getting those, guys. So if you want, head over to Apple Podcasts or iTunes and leave us a 5-star review. Tell us why you like us. We'll read it on Shooting the Flames or really anywhere you can leave something that's kind of like a review.
We'll read it anywhere.
We'll read it anywhere.
From our hot takes from the Overlook Film Festival, Glazed Donut over on Patreon said the title Clown in a Cornfield gives off 80s B-horror film vibe, but after listening to the description and watching the trailer, I got excited and look forward to giving it a chance. Also, rotary phone jokes should humble me at my age, but don't because life has lifed so hard.
Yeah.
Life has been lifing.
I just feel old. The Glazed Donut, definitely go check it out. That movie was good.
Yes, it's an attention grabbing title, but do not mistake it for some sort of, straight to DVD trash release.
Yeah, it's not rote.
It's the real deal. So it has something to say as well.
Very surprising.
Not as good as Centers.
And major theatrical release. So also Rosario started last weekend. So it's playing in the theater.
Oh, isn't it really?
It's playing at the mall down the street.
Wow.
My goodness gracious. With many film times. From our Shooting the Flames episode back in April last month, Sinistero over on Patreon said, "Death edging is hands down my favorite phrase from this episode."
What was that a reference to?
I don't remember.
God, we would be so amazing if we had memories.
I know. If my memory span, I can recall.
We were talking about some movie where it was just like death edging, like either they were like almost killing people. I don't know.
Maybe we were talking about the monkey. I don't know.
Edging. Oh, it was like etching us through.
But that smells like a t-shirt to me.
Death edging, yes. Send us there. Please remind us. Refresh our drinks on that one, and we'll make a t-shirt out of it.
Please and thank you.
BattleBurrito over on Patreon said, "Cornhole clowns sounds like the most horrifying subgenre of erotic entertainment I've ever heard of."
Someone make that, please.
Cornhole clown. That's another t-shirt.
That's right.
Clown in my cornhole. That's what it was.
Can't wait to see what that image looks like. From our deep dive from Dracula Dead and Loving It, Pablo the Rhino over on Patreon said, "I pressed play on this review knowing that I haven't seen this film before. I just enjoy you both talking about films from back in the day. Except that as I got deeper into the review, I realized that I have seen this movie before, but I had completely forgotten about it. Probably tells you just how forgettable it is. But if anything, I must thank you because it brought a huge wave of nostalgia to my day. Not because of this particular film, sorry Lizzie Nielsen, but because I watched this at a time, as so many of us did, that if you wanted to be entertained by the little square device in your living room, you had to watch whatever was on at the time."
That's right.
No real multiple choice. Now we have an unlimited blockbuster store at our fingertips. Countless evenings sitting in front of the TV, spending ages just trying to find something to watch, but unable to as the choice is just so much. Even though the only way I could have and did watch this film was due to the fact that it was the only thing on TV at the time, I'm grateful that I did, as it reminds me of much simpler times. That's right.
Yeah.
It's like Little House on the Prairie days.
This reminds me when I used to watch the TV Glow.
You are correct. And just as a true testament to your comment, I was literally scrolling through so many different streaming services and looking online for like inspiration of things to watch. So I wanted to watch something new, and eventually I just gave up and was just like, well, there's too many choices.
Little House on the Prairie it is again.
That's right. The Wilders, the Ingalls Wilders.
Glazed Donut over on Patreon said, "First time watch, probably last time watch, but glad I watched it all the same."
Yeah, I don't think I'll be watching this again.
Here. Yeah.
Carl over on Patreon said, "You guys should definitely cover Frankenstein this year for October. Looking forward to hearing you talk about Young Frankenstein. It's really great. It actually captures the vibe of the old Universal movies perfectly. They even use the original lab equipment from the old movies. I haven't seen this since it came out, but I loved it as a kid, and I've been meaning to revisit it."
Well, we'll have you know that what's going to happen. Unfortunately, this October is Hitchcocktober, so we'll be covering Hitchcock in October. If you didn't see what we were putting down there.
That's right.
We are subtle. And we're actually going to cover the James Whale movies this Pride. 2 years ago in Pride, we showed you the James Whale movie,
Gods and Monsters.
And we talked about it. And we've kind of gone through a little bit backwards on it. And so for this Pride, we are going to... So now we've seen parodies about it. Yep. We're going to watch Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein.
And get into all the gay subtext and coding.
And that's such. In June.
Yeah, for Pride Month.
As per tradition.
So sooner than October, Carl, you will get your wish.
Do you know what also is next month?
Aside from Pride Month?
Another Shooting the Flames episode.
Oh my God, you're right. And it's a big one.
It is. It's number 300.
Our 300th episode.
Wow.
Guys, we need to do something special for that.
Cupcakes.
Tell us what we should do.
Corporate pizza party.
Let's have a pizza party in the Nook.
Not on this Indian rug.
No.
Or the carpet. Bennett over on Patreon said, "Still cannot believe that Robert has never seen Young Frankenstein. I know that'll change soon, but still, it was my number one favorite film for virtually my whole childhood. So that probably explains my shock. I wonder how many people's first, like, number one movie has been like some sort of Gene Wilder movie."
I think it's possible. A lot.
So many people,
Yeah.
their Charlie and Chocolate Factory was their favorite.
Mm-hmm.
So many people say Blazing Saddles. So many people say,
Young Frankenstein.
Young Frankenstein.
Or Haunted Honeymoon, in my case.
There you go.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, Bennett, I watched it. I hope you listened to our episode. You can, in fact, go and listen to it now if you have not. I give all my thoughts. From our deep dive into Rec 2, Glazed Donut said, a lot of bark, not a lot of bite. I had a bit of confusion with the different camera scenes, and by the time I caught up, there was another death or a person showing up. By the time the loud, annoying teens showed up, I was wanting everybody dead.
Yep, same.
This film feels like the target audience is mainly teenage boys and gamers.
Yes, I think that was intentional. We talked about that in that deep dive. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. The more I just like, they just referenced it. It's like so forgettable compared to the first one.
I never want to see it again.
Nope.
Ever.
From our bonus episode Into Quarantine, which is the remake of Rec, which was better than Rec 2 at least, Jessica sent us an email and said, guys, listening to the quarantine breakdown, you mentioned my boy Jonathan Schrick. Is that how you say his name?
Yeah, I think
Schrick.
So.
You mentioned he was one of the firemen. Of course he was. And didn't mention him by name, but I understand it's not necessary. I call him Silver Fox. Well, the Silver Fox lives here in Nashville, and he lives pretty close to me.
Ooh.
How do I know this? My boyfriend of several years, who is a Silver Fox in his own right, they're both about the same age, early 50s, and those two hunks often bro up at the gym and exchange old man gorgeous tips and shit like that. Every damned weekend, I make my sweet beloved tell me if he had a convo with the Silver Fox. He's very sweet about it and says, I sure did, sweetheart. I do every weekend. He's a solid guy.
He looks solid.
Imagine the Southern accent. Then, of course, I say, excuse me, sir. I didn't ask for anything about his personality. As if. You're ruining the fantasy, love. Now continue. Sure, I could go to the gym with him and he would introduce me, but then I would have to go to the gym and it would ruin the fantasy. It's better in my mind. My two hot, sweaty men at the gym by my house, getting all swollen shit. That's all a girl needs in life. I shall attach pictures of the two Silver Foxes my man loves when I objectify him anyway. That is a nice looking man.
Oh my God.
In those greenish shorts, bluish, tealish. And then there's the picture of Shrek to the right. Yeah. He definitely looks different without the mustache.
He does.
He was in The Sweetest Thing as well, because he's Christina Applegate's
Ex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I don't think Christina Applegate is living in Nashville.
This is your man, Jessica?
In fact, I feel like she's barely living at all.
Yeah, it's sad, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, Jessica, your man is hot. And Jonathan Shrake. You know what? Here's the reason why I didn't mention his name when talking about quarantine, because I don't know how to say it properly. And, but I have thought that this man was incredibly attractive since my teen years when I saw him in films like The Doom Generation and such. So, yeah, he's incredibly attractive. So actually, like, I can see how this gym fantasy
You'd let him through your Christina Applegate any day.
Certainly would. In fact, I have a right mind to move to Nashville and join that gym. Even though I won't go work out, I'll just walk around and lick.
Well, that's creepy. From our bonus episode into M, CenobiteBetty over on Patreon said, surprised you covered this. I just rewatched it with my gentleman friend. I also hadn't seen it since I was a teenager. Thank you, Father. I remember it being more tense, but I still liked it and always excited to see Peter Lorre's bulging eyes. Peter Lorre, rather.
Yeah.
Yes, Peter Lorre.
Oh, CenobiteBetty.
How does Peter Lorre's bulging eyes compare to Igor's bulging eyes from...
Yeah, what was that guy's name? Murray something or other?
Yeah.
Don't be surprised that we covered it. People voted for it.
Yep, they did.
So, but I'm glad that you had seen it beforehand, and I hope that you enjoyed our conversation about it. So, from our deep dive into The Mist, Matt Walsh, over on the Patreon community chat, said, I just finished listening to the episode on The Mist. It made me think of another King adaptation that centers around a group of isolated people and has an equally bleak ending, Storm of the Century.
Except that Stephen King actually wrote the Storm of the Century bleak ending.
Yes, he did.
Versus The Mist, he did not write that ending.
Yep, he wrote that entire teleplay. And I really like Storm of the Century.
Isn't that Sigourney? The Weaver?
It doesn't have the Weaver.
Which one is that? The Ice Storm. Okay, sorry.
The Ice Storm. Yes. That is not about anything horrific. It's about sex. But the Storm of the Century is really good, and the ending is very bleak, and it has classic Stephen King tropes in it. So it's actually a good pairing to The Mist.
Okay.
And I haven't watched that movie in quite some time, but the teleplay is really good to read if you haven't done that, Matt.
We got some questions and comments, or at least 1.5. 1.5.
1.5. Okay.
Nico sent us a message on our Patreon community chat. Well, technically they sent everyone a message and said, I watched Companion the other night and definitely thought it was fun and well made, but I completely knew what was going on going in, and I didn't even watch the trailer. I was listening to Dead Meat episode on it, and one of them said they managed to go in completely blind and didn't know anything about the premise or first twist. I'm wondering if anyone else managed to do this. I mean, the movie poster is a spoiler in and of itself. That's what happened to us. Like, we weren't like, we didn't get it from the trailer, right? Not really. Although I just put 2 and 2 together when we were just waiting in line to get into the theater, and they had a pop-up of the Companion right there. And I was looking at it, and it was like obviously referring to with like her white eyes. And I was like, I remembered her arm being on fire. And I was like, she's a robot.
Yeah.
It's a robot. Yeah.
So before the movie started, that's what we kept saying over and over again.
It's a robot.
She's about a robot. What's funny is that we went to a secret screening of something like just a couple weeks later at an AMC, and we sat down because we didn't know what it was. They wouldn't tell us what it was. And it was Companion.
Yeah, we walked out.
So we got up and left. But after the fact, I was like, we should have sat there and just like leaned over to people sitting near us.
Do you think she's a robot?
Do you think she's a robot, ma'am? I bet she's a robot. Yeah. So I think a lot of people kind of like called it maybe, but I mean, you're right. The poster is quite a spoiler.
Yeah. Also, Nico asked a follow-up question. Hey, Chris and Robert, did you see James and Chelsea from Dead Meat at the Overlook? They were there as well. They're one of my other favorite podcasts.
I don't know if we saw James and Chelsea.
I looked at their pictures and they did not spark joy. Wait, they did not spark a memory. And then Nico replied again and said, looks like, when I said I didn't really recognize them, they said their docket was completely different than ours, except for the dog movie. Good boy.
Oh, so they made other choices.
Yeah, I think they probably spent a lot of their time at the Britannia downtown.
Oh,
doing the pressy stuff.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to watch movies.
Yeah. So like when we visit as press, our big takeaway from it is like watching the movies to let you know like what to be excited
We could care
for.
less about interviews and all that stuff. I don't know that Dead Meat does that anyway. I don't know.
I've never listened to that podcast before.
Or rubs shoulders or something, or just takes advantage of the fact that they're there, that they can ask questions, and then bring them back to their audience. I don't know. I don't begrudge anyone doing that. It is definitely a opportunity to do so. And we might take advantage of that, knowing that it's less painful than we thought it would be going all the way to a different location. We wanted to hunker down and watch a bunch of movies that we would not get the chance to see for maybe even a year.
That's right.
Right, as we found out. And,
Ear plus.
Yeah. And we intentionally don't see films that are going to be out either streaming or in theaters like a week or a month after
Yeah, because opening night was Drop, and I'm like, it's opening like 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
And now it's already on streaming.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but Nico, maybe I will give their podcast a listen, and if they're ever at the Overlook and I see them, I'll run over and say, hey, we share an awesome listener.
What's going on?
No voicemails though, right?
And I said, hey, new patron. I said, hey,
Matt Walsh.
it's Matt Walsh.
What's going on?
Oh, we're particularly annoying today. Maybe the me part of we. Matt Walsh joined as a film sparker. Thank you, Matt, and welcome.
Welcome to the Patreon family. It seems like you are already taking advantage of it in the chat and such and such.
One of us.
One of us, Google Gobble. But in addition to Matt, we need to shout out our patrons at the Film Flamer tier or higher over on Patreon. And at the Inferno level, we have
Call me Lestat.
Nimble Wimbley.
Penelope.
And our Flamers,
Alex.
Anthony.
Ashley.
Ben.
CenobiteBetty.
Glazed Donut.
Jessica.
Lisa.
Nikki.
Random Dude.
Rosie Red Leader.
Shadow of the Dead Swan.
Hi, Dean. Sinistero.
Wallstritch.
And William Skinner.
Thank you guys and all of our patrons for being part of the Patreon family. And I'm so glad that you guys are using that chat. Keep up all of it. And obviously we're going to start incorporating some of that into Shooting the Flames.
Yeah, we should have been because it's been going on for, lo these many months. Maybe almost 2 years now.
Every time I open it up, I am just like flabbergasted that all these people are having all these side conversations. And I'm like,
well, actually, like our stuff is the side conversation because they're giving each other recommendations and, we're reacting and they're asking questions and other people are answering. So it's like a real community.
It is. And I love it. And they're always pointing us in the right direction to do things.
Yeah.
So good.
Horror news.
Unfortunately, we need to give a little ripperoni here for actress Priscilla Pointer from Carrie and Dream Warriors, who has passed away at 100. Good
Lord.
job.
Wow.
And Priscilla Pointer, if you don't remember who she was, like in Carrie, she is the one who you like to quote
I do.
a lot of bunch of.
My favorite line from Carrie. I'll drink to that. Right? Well, these are godless times, Miss Snell.
I'll
drink to that. And she plays a very mean taskmaster, headmistress nurse in Dream Warriors, one of my favorite, most comforting horror films.
She's definitely a ratchet. Ratchet moment for her.
She's ratchety in that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Priscilla will be missed very, very much. And 100, she certainly lived a very long life. Speaking of the Overlook Film Festival, though, from earlier, I don't know what Chelsea and James voted for, but we voted for very particular movies after we watched them at the Overlook Film Festival, and we always eagerly await the announcement of the winners. So the announcement has been announced, and for the audience choice, the best feature went to Ugly Stepsister,
Which we didn't see because it came out in the theaters like a week later.
That's right. And I still haven't seen it because it's about to be on Shudder.
Yep.
And honorable mention went to It Ends,
Which was one of my favorites.
That's right.
From the festival.
Mm-hmm.
There was a jury award for Best Feature, and this was by the small jury, including like some of the filmmakers.
That's right.
There was just like 3 people, and that was Best Feature, Touch Me,
Which we did see.
which we also enjoyed, and an honorable mention to Redux, which we did not see, Scariest Film, Best Wishes to All, which we did not see, and another honorable mention to Good Boy, which is of course about the doggy.
Which I did jump a couple times.
The puppers. Yeah.
So
Yes, there was some very good jumps in Good Boy.
this does make me want to see The Ugly Stepsister even more, though. Yeah. And because last year's audience award winner was Oddity, which we both really liked.
Yeah, it's like Pride and Prejudice and Substance.
Yes, blended together.
Yeah.
I am about to take a Victorian
dump
course.
Oh. Another t-shirt.
A Victorian dump. Please make me that t-shirt. I just need like Dickens sitting on a toilet. This dump is Dickensian.
But it's Betty Davis saying it's what a dump.
What a dump.
What a Victorian dump. Anyway.
Fuck.
Jesus. So guess what? There's a Ready or Not sequel, and it's gearing up with Sarah Michelle Gellar and Elijah Wood.
And more.
And more, right? And so this is titled Ready or Not, Here I Come. God damn it. And it's also starring Samara Weaving, so she's coming back, and Catherine Newton.
Yeah. I like Catherine Newton.
Yeah.
She makes me laugh. And I really like Samara Weaving, although I really like her from Ready or Not. So I am happy to see the sequel, but they better not fuck it up. However, with people like Sarah Michelle Gellar and Elijah Wood, I think they're going for a very specific tone again, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Finally, Carl Urban is possibly returning to Dread, the Dread series, at Amazon from the Boys' production team.
This has been making a little bit of a renaissance lately because people are talking about this movie again. Every few years it comes out and there's another push to like make a sequel or do something because it just, I don't know what happened with this movie. We did do a deep dive. And so we did a Patreon episode on it. We talked a little about it. We talked about Alex Garland in that because he wrote it, but he also has come out recently in a new interview talking about how much he ghost directed it and exactly what happened behind the scenes. So we talk a little bit about that in that Patreon episode from 4 or 5 years ago.
It was a while ago. Yeah.
Yeah. And, that movie's excellent. And it makes sense that Alex Garland, ghost directed it.
And the thing is that I think a lot of people wrote that movie off when it came out. I certainly did. And it wasn't until we watched it for Patreon that I was like, what a good fucking movie this is. And have like grown to really love it.
He's also one of our only gay superheroes. So
is he gay?
Yes, he is, but it doesn't matter.
Oh, he's incidentally gay.
He is gay.
Okay. I didn't know that. Well, now he's even harder, but that would be good. Like I would watch another Dread movie for sure.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to watch a series, but another movie, sign me up.
Coming soon.
Guys, we have a lot of trailers to talk about. Apparently, and who knew this? Who knew that the majority of films are released in the summertime?
My God.
But we have a lot to talk about. Something like
we've cracked the code.
A million of them, starting with Life of Chuck.
Finally, Jesus Christ!
My gosh, like this was at TIFF way back in the fall, or even before that. I thought for sure it was going to get some like late year.
It's gotten like
Oscar push.
Really sporadic and surgical film festival releases.
Yeah.
And then even now it's saying in June, but if you look closely, it says limited release. So I don't know what the fuck's going on with this movie and its release.
I don't know. I mean, like, they don't have faith that it would make a lot of money.
It's Mike Flanagan and Stephen King. It has stars Tom Hiddleston and Chiwetel Ejiofor and Karen Gillan and Jacob Tremblay and Mark fucking Hamill. Why wouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, and like it's a really good trailer too, and based on
a little hallmarky.
Well, the story's a little hallmarky, but it has like some good like Stephen King tropes in it, and it
kind of reminds me of the trailer for Cloud Atlas, and the trailer for Cloud Atlas is so much better than the movie was. In my opinion,
I haven't seen the movie.
Same thing kind of going on with that one movie that was like where the trailer. We need to do like a top 10 trailers are better than the movies.
Life of Chuck though is. It was just a really, really good novella, and it's super touching, and it made me cry a lot while I was reading it. And the trailer does look hallmarky, but I think that's like, it's kind of the point. Like this movie has to be kind of saccharine in the way that it's made, but it's not all like that. Like the novella itself is told out of order, and it's kind of hard to pick up like exactly what's going on until like you get to the very end of it, and it all kind of makes sense. And there's like classic Stephen King like horror adjacency and like apocalyptic things happening in it, and it's just a really, really good story that by the time I finished reading it, I was like, this would make a really good movie if it were done properly. And then I saw that Mike Flanagan was doing it, and I was like, okay, like he's a fan of Stephen King. He's not going to fuck it up. And this movie looks incredibly touching. And I have heard nothing but good things from like the press or people who have seen it at these film festivals. So I have kind of high hopes for this. And hopefully the limited release means it'll be playing somewhere near me, because I definitely want to see this in the theater.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it will be, because we live in the place where movies happen.
We live in a metroplex.
That's not LA. Next up, we've got The Toxic Avenger, starring Peter Dinklage, Kevin Bacon, Elijah Wood, Jacob Tremblay again. And this is in theaters somehow in August, because this trailer just makes it look so cell phone shot straight to DVD type of situation that it's kind of vomit inducing, and hopefully it's good.
Well, this movie has been made for quite some time. It's already been screened at festivals. It should have been out like 2 years ago. So that doesn't bode really well for it. Mm-mm. And I think that it's supposed to look like that because, I mean, look what it's based on. But I I'm not like really chomping at the mondegreen for this. I wasn't whenever it was announced. So
I'm like, I just know no one has the balls to do what Toxic Avenger did.
No, I mean, it was a trauma movie for a reason. And it became a cultural moment in its own right. It doesn't need a remake, honestly. You know what else doesn't really need a remake or a reboot? Really?
Wait.
That too. But also, I know what you did last summer, but we're getting one.
Yeah, we are getting one.
And we knew this. It's coming to theaters this July, and it stars a whole bunch of new teenage or young adult actors that I don't recognize, but two much older actors that I do.
Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jennifer Love Hewitt, all the ones with the 3 names.
Yeah, back when every young actor had
except for Sarah Michelle Gellar. My goodness,
more pictures in it.
And Ryan Jessica Felipe.
Ryan Jessica. He's dead. He's dead in the movie. So we don't see his picture like leaned against a tombstone though. This movie looks exactly like its predecessor. So you know what you're going into.
It does. And she says, I just want to know one thing. What did you do last summer? And I really wanted her to be like, I just want to know one thing. What are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for? Huh? She better fucking do that in this movie. I swear I will riot if I wait. I will wait through the entire credits just in case there's an end credit scene where she's spinning around in a parking lot going, what are you waiting for? Huh? Best part. Actually, I really like I Know What You Did Last Summer. It's like one of my favorite 90s slashers because it's like simple as fucking milk, but fun. So I'll watch this.
I want to go back and see Urban Legend.
I really want to deep dive into Urban Legend too because that was
the whole like Brad Dourif intro of it all.
It's a hidden gem.
And the Noxema girl.
It's Rebecca Gayheart.
Oh my God. Gay Harden. Next up, we've got Weapons, directed by Zach Kreger of Barbarian fame, starring Josh Brolin and Julia Garner and Amy Madigan and Benedict Wong et al. This is in theaters in August. And this looks like an amazing movie.
It really does.
And just watch the fucking trailer. Like all the kids disappear one night, that were in one classroom. But every other classroom, no one's missing. So it's just like all the kids, they didn't disappear in school, but they all disappeared from their beds. And like the teacher's not in on it. Like, I don't know. It's very, it looks very disturbing.
It does. There's got to be something going on with this because it's called Weapons. I don't know if they're making some sort of political school shooting statement or something like that.
It looks like I don't know if it's a nightmare or if it's actually supernatural, but like there's some weird like Stephen King vibes from that.
Definitely something going on small town wise in this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, and like Barbarian, I thought was a really good, surprising, original horror movie. And so and this looks also very, very original.
This guy Kreger, I'm hoping doesn't go into like the trap of being a Shyamalan or something where like every movie has to have this big twist in it.
That's right. But the twist happens 15 minutes into the movie instead of at the end.
Yeah. And I don't know. I don't think Barbarian really had a twist. It's just the trailer kind of made it seem like it was going to be Alexander Skarsgård, and it was like twisty casting in that way.
Yeah. Well, it became kind of a different movie.
Whatever Skarsgård he is.
Bill
Skarsgård, yeah. Right.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I had not seen the trailer until today, and like between this, Life of Chuck, and the movies we've already seen this year, like 2025.
Yeah.
So also coming this summer, but on the smaller screen on the Hulu, is Alien Earth. We've talked about a teaser from this one before, but now we've got another one.
Yes, and there's another one on top of this too, but I didn't put them both. And it's like this one is saying that there's like 5 different creatures that have been pulled from all over the universe, and one of them's an alien. And this, I don't know, it just says summer on Hulu. But we're also getting Predator on Hulu.
That's right.
An animated film by Dan Trachtenberg, who did Prey, which was one of our favorite horror movies of that year.
Yes.
And I still absolutely adore, endlessly rewatchable. I love that movie. And this is called Predator Killer of Killers, and it is on Hulu in June, maybe around the same time. It'd be interesting to see if they have any tie-ins because Hulu has all the cards.
They really do. And like, so, but following this, there's a trailer for Predator Badlands, right? Which is sort of Dan Trachtenberg's follow-up film.
Yeah. And this is not what I thought. I thought it was Badlands in reference to like the Dakotas or whatever, you know,
same.
having to do with like, okay, this is a segue in time or maybe just a geographical segue. And we're going to get our same like Native American badass bitch back. No, this is like different planet.
Yeah,
right?
This is like the aliens of the Predators planet.
Yeah,
seemingly,
or some other like test planet or something, or maybe it's like the prisoner planet for Predators. I don't fucking know, but I feel like that's been done before too. I feel like there was one with Adrian Brody where they were all brought to another planet.
Yeah, Predators.
I know it's like Skull Island with a predator, you know, trying to survive in Skull Island or something. It's weird.
It doesn't seem like what I was expecting. It doesn't look bad. You know,
goddamn fanning. It's going to be great. Sorry, but like the music is there. The Dan Trachtenberg is there of it all. Like it looks great. It sounds great. It's going to be great.
It's just kind of
it's just not what I expected.
Yeah, and that's fine. You know, like make your movie.
Plus, I guess what I'm trying to say, if you read between the lines, is that I want Amanda Thunderbird back or whatever her name is.
Yeah.
Mid Thunder. Amber Mid Thunder.
Yep.
Want her back.
Yes, I want to see more of her story, and hopefully that has not completed. But before then, we'll just have to watch Predator Badlands.
I'm hoping that's part of it, is that
she's on that planet.
Because we saw in the post credits for that, like 3 more ships came.
Yep.
So she might have been taken, and all the winners might be taken off world to the Predator one to hunt the predators. And
that could be it. I mean, that's what Killer of Killers is. You know, obviously they're not going to show everything in the trailer because why would they do that? But
it'd be like such an audience moment to see Amber Mid Thunder come back.
Yeah, I would love it.
Oh my God, we have to see that in the theater.
Maybe just figured it out.
Because guess what? The first one, Prey, didn't come out in the theater.
No, and he needs his fucking moment. So have your cinematic moment.
Yeah.
But speaking of movies that look really fucking excellent, horror movies for 2025, we have a trailer for a movie called Him.
Yeah, and this starts off like a Gatorade commercial, and maybe that's all we should say.
Yeah.
It looks almost like the male version or the masculinity version of the substance.
Yep.
Or at least that's what it's being marketed as. Because a lot of movies these days are trying to compare themselves to the substance or give the vibe of the substance.
And it certainly does seem
for better
to
or worse.
have some sort of like body horror thing. And I'm glad that like the substance has influenced enough this soon or this close to its release, you know. And I welcome, you know, imitators even. But this movie looks really good and really well made.
Yeah. And it's like in regards to like pushing yourself and doing whatever it takes to, you know, be where you want to be. Instead of on aesthetic, it seems to be about performance.
That's right.
And so that's why I say that about the substance and being a kind of a masculine version, you know.
Yeah, because he already looks good.
Yeah, it's a quote unquote masculine version. I feel like it's gonna play with some stereotypes, which is gonna be fun. It's gonna do what this genre does best, which is talk about some social bullshit that you can't talk about in a normal drama.
That's right. I.e.,
God damn it,
every other horror movie.
Yeah.
But especially Sinners. This is produced by Jordan Peele, who has already proven himself to be kind of like a new master of horror. And I am looking forward to this because there were some striking visuals in that trailer.
That's right. You know, we've been kind of all over the place on our list here, but I think lastly is the latest trailer for 28 Years Later. And it's kind of like the first one, still great. I love the use of that sound bite.
Yeah.
You know, the poem of war. And this is just a reminder, this is directed by Danny Boyle, who's continuing from the first film, written by Alex Garland, who also wrote the first film. And of course, Alex Garland being an amazing director in his own right. We just talked about him ghost directing fucking Dread. And of course, his first movie was Ex Machina, and then he did Civil War, which we were like on the fence on.
Well, but the thing is, he released Warfare this year.
Yeah.
And people were calling that sort of like a horror movie or a horror adjacent movie. And it was not on my radar of things that I wanted to see until I read a review of it. Yeah. It came out in the theater. It didn't make much of a buzz, but like the reviews that I read called it very intense and very scary. And I was just like, okay, maybe I'll watch this one. So,
did he like film it at the same time as Civil War? Like what the heck?
I guess.
What itch is he trying to scratch? Anyway, starring Jodie Comer, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Alfie Williams, Jack O'Connell, and of course Ray Fiennes. I haven't recognized Aaron Taylor Johnson from these trailers yet. Or maybe that's him like with his kiddo trying to get into the...
Yeah, I think he's the male lead. So
they're trying to like end of days themselves through their whatever that's called with... I can never remember the titles for these. It's not Hugh Jackman. It was Viggo Mortensen movie where Charlize Theron kills herself in the very beginning.
I still don't know what that is.
It's post-apocalyptic, and he's taking his kid all around.
Oh, The Road.
The Road. Yeah, The Road.
The Road.
Yeah, so this kind of seems like The Road.
It does. I was scared to watch this trailer because I did not want it to give things away. And
no, it didn't. Really.
It didn't really. And
it's all just teasing.
It gave you just enough to like sort of give you an idea of what the movie might be about because the first trailer
Actually,
did
that's
not.
a good idea. Like, it's just like, this is not new to many of you, but it's like once you're already sold on watching a movie, don't watch anything else.
Yep. Because it's burned me too many times. And so I was just like, I'm not going to watch any more trailers if they even release one. But this one was smart, in a very Danny Boyle, Alex Garland kind of way and did not give away the entire fucking movie.
Unless you have a horror podcast and you're in charge of like sharing these trailers with
people, that's right.
You kind of have to watch
them. Have to do it. But still.
Yeah.
I still want to see this movie in the theater.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, actually, the trailer for I Don't Understand You, which we saw last year at the Overlook, that has released, and I think that's getting a theatrical.
Yep.
So go check that trailer out because that was one of our favorites and it never fucking released. And it's going to be over a year since we've seen it.
And if that movie gets a theatrical release, I will go to the movies and give it the support that it needs.
It does. And then also Hollow Road, got a trailer released. And this is the Rosamund Pike dealio that's like them in the car, the whole fucking movie.
So good.
That is so good. And it's also, I think, getting our theatrical. So go check out those trailers as well. I will try to remember to put links to those, even though they were not on our docket to tell you about, since we've already talked about those movies. And hopefully when they drop, you go see them.
Guys, not since 2024 have we had such a banner year of horror movies.
Yeah, but I feel like we've had some dearths. We've had some bad years.
We did. But
there was one year where we literally said this is not the best year for horror.
I think it was 2023. Like that was such a mid-year.
Yeah.
And then it's like all the filmmakers in the world listened to that podcast episode and they were like, we have to step it up.
Hold our collective beers.
And then like 2024 was a good movie, but we haven't even made it to June. And I'm like, 2025 is just like stolen the show. I really like that. The high anxiety, like repeating things.
It's still in the show. It's still in the show.
I got it. I ain't got it.
What are you talking about?
I think that just about wraps up this Shooting the Flames episode. As always, we want to read your comments and questions, and you can leave all those on social media. Find us at The Film Flamers on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, all the places.
You can email us at tiredqueens@filmflamers.com or call our hotline at 972-666-7733. Oh, make a sinner out of me.
Jonathan Shrek. I don't know.
Call me a good boy.
I do love, because we save all these documents, that there is a document with a picture of two shirtless men in it.
Yep. Thank you.
We also like announcing new patrons. So head over to patreon.com/thefilmflamers, join the family, join the chat, and get all those bonus episodes and such. We'd love to see you.
Yep. If you sign up for the highest tier, we will send nudes
That's right. You can have your own document with 2 shirtless men
that you never want to see again.
that you will quickly delete. Speaking of bonus content, I don't know what we're doing yet, maybe a poll, but over on the main feed, it's May 24, so we'll be talking about some prestige horror films, but maybe not from that production company.
A24-like movies.
That's right. A24-esque.
Yeah. Just a little snobby. Just enough snobby enough to fit into them. That
mold.
Mold, yeah.
Yeah. A24-onic. Mm-hmm. That's right. So stay tuned for those films.
Well, Robert.
Yes, great.
I think it's time that we rest up for that heightened level of Dickensian horror film snobbery.
The Dickensian proclivities of it all.
Yeah.
That's right. And have some sweet dreams. Just wait till this call starts. I'm going to be talking so Dickensian for the next 6 weeks, 8 weeks.
I shall have a Victorian dump.